Hey, I'm Mitchell Davis, a Laravel developer.
And I'm Gavin Ty, sales and marketing, I think. Yeah.
Mostly sales.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
working on the marketing
Well,
and how
sales
that
and
all
marketing
aligns.
messaging, sales strategy and marketing messaging. How
I
about that?
like that. That's refined. That's good. We are building SixSides.co. It's an events platform that helps you build a stronger community through events, and this is our B2B SaaS journey. Mate, how are you going?
Mate, it feels weird. We've gone back online. We spent the weekend together
We
almost like
did.
from Friday, Saturday, hanging out and just getting to know each other. Now we're back online. It's yeah.
Well, you've seen my space now. You said it was, what'd you say? It's smaller than it looks on camera. So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
absolutely. And
Well, and I'm upgrading Office soon, so I'm looking forward to having a bigger space. Anyway, that aside, yes, it was awesome. So that was our first time actually meeting in person. We've known each other now for 4 years, I think, something like that, and all of that's been entirely online. I probably could have met you in when I was up in Brisbane at Laracon last year, but with everything going on. I just opted out, so I didn't even reach out to you until afterwards. So that one was on me. That was probably our earliest opportunity to catch up. But you've made the trip down now, and it was awesome. It was great. So we spent. When did you get in? You surprised me with how early you got in on Friday. I planned to do some other work, and then you give me a buzz and you're like, "Mate, I'm on my way." And I'm like, "Holy shit! I better get in the car and get going."
Mum,
Uh,
out of the both of us, there's one person in this relationship that's consistently early and then one that's consistently late.
yeah,
At time of recording, we are 10
yeah.
minutes late recording because someone was like,
I
I'm not
wanted a
saying who it
coffee.
is. I'm not pointing. Yeah, it was good.
Yes,
Yeah, it was
I'm
awesome.
no good, but I'm working on it. So yeah, you got in on Friday morning. We then spent a couple hours on Friday. I booked out one of the meeting rooms here in the co-working space. I got to see you use a whiteboard, and you were totally in your element, which is your thing. That was really fun. What did we do? We sat down and we went through some strategy of what we're thinking about over the next 12 months in the business.
Yeah.
That was fun. And then what did we do in the afternoon? At what point, what time of day was it? And then what did you ask? Can we go do?
Oh, well, I think first and foremost, I think we didn't really have that much of an agenda. Like we had an agenda months ago, but then we've crossed that off over the last couple months, right? So I
Yeah.
think the most important part of it was just really hanging out and then just going backwards and forwards on conversation that's not time bound by 30 minutes or 45 minutes. And
Yeah.
I thought it was really productive. And then to answer your question, by I think about 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock, we went to play golf.
Yeah, that's right.
So we went and played X golf and just hung out and just, yeah, got to know each other, right? Like, yeah.
For those that don't know, it's like a golf simulator. And I actually had no idea because I'm not that into golf. My last time I actually played golf.
I
Yeah,
can tell.
thanks. Yeah, I didn't do too well, for those wondering. But Gavin beat me by 4 points over 9 holes, I think.
It's 4 shots, mate.
4 shots, is it?
But it
Well,
doesn't
there you
matter.
go.
That doesn't matter. It was just luck. It was yeah,
Sure. We hit the mulligan button quite a few times between us, didn't we?
quite
So
a few times, yeah.
anyway, that was fun, and we had a beer or two at this place, and man, I was wrecked. After 2 beers, I had 2 beers, and then came back here, and I had to just stay in the office for like half an hour because I don't know, it just went through me. We had only a small breakfast and no lunch, so yeah, it rocked me a bit. So I went home and I had a nap.
And then on Saturday morning, we just did a just some planning, right? Like I think it's one thing when you're meeting online every now and then, but I think it's really hard to share a vision when you're meeting to 30 minutes on a topic. And we
Yeah.
spent, I think, 2 hours just talking about the structure of SixSides and how people will interact with the platform. And it seemed like
Yes.
you had a light bulb moment.
Had a
At the end
huge
of it.
light bulb moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked through, I guess, like, yeah, we'll just get into it, right? We're not hiding anything back. We talked through this approach that you basically had always had in mind, but I thought something totally different. So to set the context, last year for the Laracon Australia app, the way that attendees logged in was using a ticket code that Michael's ticketing provider had given them, and that uniquely identifies each attendee, speaker, sponsor, whatever. And I had kind of been thinking, okay, that's the way that we will identify our users moving forward. Will all be based on these ticket codes. And through conversation with you on Saturday, it became really clear that no, okay, they need to be our users first. So they need to be registering, or like we need to make it as easy as possible, but they need to get into our platform and accept our terms and conditions and all this sort of stuff that you have in of any app or website, that you're using. And I just didn't really have that in mind. I thought, okay, the gateway in is just this ticket code. And that is all that they will need to provide to get into any of the events that we're running through the platform. But we can think of them as they're our users, as opposed to just an attendee of one event that's running on there.
Yeah.
So that was really enlightening, and it unlocks a bunch of other things that I'm not really ready to get into just yet, but I think it will be really powerful for us to be able to then track people through different events, or make it easier to share past connections and people that they've met and things like that. And all of that will just flow from having a user account. So we can talk more about that in future recordings.
And well, I think that's really important, because our mission is to build a stronger community through events, right? That's
Yeah.
And to people are part of a community. So one, you want to make sure that whoever's running an event through SixSides understands who's interacting with their community, right? And I think it's a security. I think it's around security. You just can't have random people in there. You want to know who they are.
Yep.
You want to be able to engage with them further to track community growth and community interaction. And I think I think that was a big unlock there for us, right? Because you want to be able to, over time, if we can represent the strengthening of the community and the growth of a community somehow. We don't know how to do that yet, but and it starts with making sure we are interacting with, making everyone who joins part of the community. That involves being part of the SixSides community and any event that they're attending, or if they want to run their own event, right? So
Exactly, yeah, and that's part of a larger growth strategy that we've got. So it was great. Like, that to me was, apart from just meeting you and hanging out, that was by far the biggest. Wow, this was a huge benefit of having you here. And I don't think it's possible that we would have had that conversation and realized, oh, we're actually misaligned on this. It's entirely possible we would have had that just through talking online, but sitting down and focusing and going, okay, I'm not answering other calls, I'm not getting emails or whatever. This is it. We're here. You've come all this way. Let's just focus on this.
Yeah.
And we did. We got through, 2, 3-4 hour sessions of let's focus on this business. So
it really
that was awesome.
It took us 3 hours to get to that point after just going backwards and forwards. And I don't see, we may have got there in another 6 or 7 hours, but I think you can't, I don't think, I just wrote a post about this on LinkedIn. I don't think you can understate catching up and just spending time in person, just getting to know each other. Like, I got to know a little bit more about your wedding plans, about your personal your personal relationships. You got to meet some of my friends. We went out to dinner on Saturday night, and I actually probably had the best laughs I've had in years at that dinner. That was one of the funniest dinners I've ever had. It was hilarious. Yeah.
It was awesome. It was great seeing you in your element with you and your best mate from school. We also had Rolly, who has been on this show before, who lives fairly close by. And so that was great. I got to drive him home, which was awesome. He was like thinking, I'll just call an Uber. And I'm like, mate, we live 10 minutes from each other. I'll give you a lift. It's all good. And then we were chatting in the car, and it was great. I had an awesome time. So
Isn't he a person that just keeps on giving with his, he's so interesting. Like, he's such an interesting man. And,
he is. So shout out to Rolly. How do you say his last name? Chirp. Chur. Excellent.
That's how I
Rolly
say it. I
Chur.
don't know if it's right.
He'll let us know. Apparently, he listens to the show.
Yeah.
So,
So
anyway, so that was awesome. And then we considered having breakfast on Sunday, and we're like, nah, scrap that. It was too much. 2 days was enough. So,
yeah. I was running out of time and I needed to go see some family friends. So
yeah, that's
it's
right.
it's when I was sitting at dinner on Saturday night, because I live in Queensland for people who don't know, when you're down in New South Wales.
Yep.
I've moved to Queensland, and you and I we're back in Campbelltown, which is where
Yeah.
kind of around where you live, where I used to go. I lived there for 10 years at school, and Dean's going, you've moved all this distance away, and you've met two great guys that are from your neighborhood anyway, and we're right back
Yeah.
to where we started. So, where I started. Yeah. So
Small
really,
world, right?
yeah. It was really productive, and we need to do it more than twice a year. I think we need to do it once a quarter, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I
Yeah.
was thinking we'll have this natural cadence because presumably Laracon will continue to be in Brisbane each year in November.
Yeah.
And so therefore, if we did this on a 6 monthly basis, that would work really well. But yeah, I'd be really happy to. Like, this was great. This was honestly fucking awesome. So yeah,
Great.
turns out we are very similar height. Which I wasn't too sure about before you got here. I was like, maybe you'll be a giant or not. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think you've got me by an inch, somewhere around there. And yeah, fuck, it was really good. I shouldn't swear so much, but it was a great weekend. So anyway, you're back home now.
And a side note, I hired an electric car, so we went for a bit of a drive, a zip around on sport mode, and made you a little bit sick. You got motion sickness, so he's like, "Don't do that again." So
yeah, it was giving me a headache because you did. In fairness, you did it a few times, and it's like it was full like head getting smacked back into the seat. And if you're not the driver, I'm not in control of that. So yeah, you might be telling me it's coming up or whatever, but then I'm not, it's not the same. So I was like, please don't do that again.
The conclusion I've come with you, Mitch, is you like to control your whole world, and anything that's outside of what you can't predict, you are not comfortable with, and you do not like. Yep.
I don't love it. Yeah,
you don't
you're
like
right.
surprises. Yep.
No, that's right. I'm not a big surprise guy, but that's
Awesome.
okay.
All right.
Anyway,
so what are we going to talk about this week, mate?
Well, let's talk about your beanie. So for those that don't know, firstly, YouTube is up to date now. So we have a lot of videos on there now that you can go see. I spent half a day getting them uploaded last week.
Yep.
So they're all on there now, and we're going to have these episodes out at the same time, both YouTube and on the podcast.
Yep. Okay.
Back to the beanie.
Awesome.
You are wearing a beanie, which you can see if you check it out on YouTube. And the beanie says CEO Sleepout. And that's because where were you at on Thursday, right before flying down to me on Friday morning?
Yeah, so I did the CEO Sleepout on Thursday last week, which was really great. And thank you to everyone that donated. We raised $3,351, which is amazing. For my first sleep out there, it was fantastic. It was great. It was really interesting, and I have a different perspective of why people could be homeless. Like, and I'm not sure if I said that on here before, but there was a time when I was a child that just some things didn't go the right way for my family. We ended up being homeless while we were living in America for a period of time. And just things sometimes just don't go well for people. And I'm glad my eyes were open to that a little bit, and I can plan to support that more. It was really good. It wasn't cold. We did it at Seabus Stadium, which is the home of the Gold Coast Titans, but we did it on is it the concourse where you walk between when you're going into the stadium? So we were undercover.
I think so.
But it was just on concrete. It was bloody hard on the hips. So it was good. It was good.
That's awesome. And you got to meet a couple people.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I met a few people. Not as many people as I would have liked, but there could be an opportunity for some type of software platform for building community. I don't know, like
at events.
At events, right? Like, I don't know. So, but it
might be an opportunity.
Yeah, it was great. It was great, and thanks to everyone's support.
Yeah, you didn't smell as much as what I was worried you would ask me like, hey, can you bring a towel and stuff for me? I'll shower at the office, and you didn't end up needing to use it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
mate, it's
can't have
cold.
been too bad.
I don't sweat
Yeah,
in
that's
cold.
right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's bloody hot in here. You as soon as you walked in here, you're like, geez, it's hot in this office because they pumped the heater. So
Yep.
yeah, it was night and day. Anyway, so that was awesome. And the beanie looks great as well. You're rocking it. I like it. I might have to start thinking about beanie weather soon. It's getting cold enough for me.
Mate,
So,
it was freezing there. I'm glad I wasn't doing it in Canberra or Sydney or Melbourne.
yeah,
Did it in a balmy 10 degrees. Down there, it was like -2 when I was there on Saturday.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Bloody cold here. You've also had some other things going on. You went to Fiji.
I did.
And I know now for you, that probably feels like a while ago. It was how long you been back? Is it 2 weeks?
2 weeks? Yeah, yeah.
2 weeks,
Yep.
yeah. But just with the timeline of the recording and everything, we haven't heard from you on that yet. So
Yeah.
how was that?
Mate, it was really good just to get away with the family. Like, I've got young kids, 2 and 6 now. Harper just turned 6. One thing that I really want to do is I don't want to build anything at the sacrifice of my family. So it's really important that we take quality time away together. And part of that, to do that, I get up at 4 in the morning to be able to do the work that I need to do, but also spend time with everyone in the afternoon. But just going to Fiji with the family was really good. Got a little bit sick on the Wednesday. Me and Mel had a lot of cocktails by the pool, and then we ended up getting food poisoning, and that kind of put her out of action for a day.
Yeah,
And
it does that.
yeah, it does. She took her a while to bounce back. I was sick for about 12 hours, and then I could still go. It was Harper's birthday the next day, so we went on a bit of an adventure.
Nice.
But it was great. We're starting to plan our next one now. Like, we'll try to do one every 12 months or something. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess now we can return back to the recording last week with Michael. So I had Michael Dorinda on the show. He's the organizer of Laracon AU, our very first customer. And it was such a good time getting on and recording with him and just hearing a bit about what's going on his side of things with this year's Laracon AU. But then also you reminded me when we were in person, like it took you 25 minutes or something to even bring up SixSides.
That's okay.
So,
Michael's passionate about
what he's
about what he
doing,
does,
yeah.
about Laracon, right? He's really working hard to provide an amazing experience for attendees and to really add to the community in Australia, and it aligns with our values of a business. So yeah, like, let him talk as much as he wants to. We
Yeah.
saw the talk tracks when you were editing, and there was
Yeah.
definitely one-sided, and
Yeah.
it was funny. So
He did have a lot to say, but it was all really good stuff. So
yeah,
I'd encourage you to go check it out if you missed last week's episode.
and I think it's really important. What we want to do is build strong relationships with our clients, and clearly you two have a strong friendship, and frankly, we wouldn't be here if he didn't invest the time into helping build your first version of SixSides, which was EventKit back then. So yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so that was really awesome doing that with him. It's kind of nice and different doing a recording without you here. And it will be so next month I'm going away to Bali for a week and a bit. So you might have 2 episodes. Maybe we pre-record one, but you'll have at least 1 episode on your own, or you and a guest, or however you want to do it. And it's quite interesting to get on and have just a different dynamic. And then you were telling me you were listening to that episode, and I look forward to hearing whatever you record with whoever you get on. So yeah, it's a little different, but it's really nice to be back and just in the norm. We wanted to do the recording of this episode in person and have us both set up in the same room, but just some other things transpired that kind of meant I wasn't able to make that happen. But maybe next time, because I think that would be fun to sit down and do it at a table and yeah, just be sitting around the same mic or something. I think that'll be good.
so mate, what's been going on in your world? You've made a couple of key decisions in your personal life last week. So why don't you share that with everyone?
Sure. So we do have a wedding venue. I don't know how much to reveal. I won't reveal anything specific yet in case anyone that will get an invite happens to listen to this earlier. But yes, very excitingly, we do have a venue, we do have a date, and I'm so stoked. We almost pulled the trigger with this one place, which I'm happy to say. So that was Burnham Grove, which is the one I originally showed you and that I've talked about on the podcast before. And then we got right to the 11th hour on, I don't know, it was like Sunday night a week ago. And we're about to send the email to them to say, hey, we're in. And I just had this like gut feeling that it just wasn't exactly what I wanted. And so then we held off on it, and I then took I took charge of like, okay, I'm going to find the venue, and yeah, did some research. And then we went out and looked on Wednesday. We had an enormous day. It was like 9.5 hours of traveling between 3 different venues. And yeah, we found one that really just felt like it. And so I think it was same day or maybe the next day. Called them back and were like, all right, we're in, let's do it. So yeah, so super excited about that. There's a lot to do, as you know, with a wedding, but you were giving me some advice on the weekend and about how you guys got a wedding planner to help you just kind of smooth out, and hey, it's their job. They do this all the time. That's all that they do, you know, so they're really good at it, and they've got really good connections and all this sort of stuff. So it's funny, when I then got home on Saturday after we went out to the dinner, Nicole was like, I think we should get a wedding planner. And I was like, oh, yes, I think so too. So yeah, we're kind of starting down that pathway. We've got to tell like close friends and family and stuff. We've got to give them that, and then we'll send out invites to everyone that's going. So
Well, I think because I'm obviously married and obviously had kids, there's two things, weddings and kids, that you can go absolutely nuts with cost, right? And you hear these things, I've spent 80 grand or 50 grand. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't matter all the stuff on the day. It's just a fun day. It's everything leading up.
Yeah.
So we had a rule with us that if we had to make a decision with one or two choices, and if Mel would often, she can get into really deep analysis, and then she gets paralysis analysis. So we were said, let's just make quick choices, because we found that it's often the first or second choice is often the one you go with. So it doesn't matter if you look at 2 or 20, you always pretty much go back to 2, like the top one. So, and I was like, okay, hun, I will let you, you do what you need to do. If I feel like you're getting into the analysis paralysis part, then I will let you know. And she was fine until the gift ideas for people who were coming. She just went down a rabbit hole, and I said, hun, this is happening. She goes, okay, great. And then we stepped out. But I think we got away, and it was a great wedding for about 20 grand, maybe. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
And that was largely, and a lot less stress, because we helped ask the venue or the wedding planner to help. So
yeah, cool.
Amazing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
I'll try and keep people posted. Not every week. It won't be wedding talk, but yeah, as we get closer to it, for sure.
It also kicks off a something to think about too, right? Is currently you're always critical, but currently productivity starts and stops with you, right? We're on a timeline that, whether it's now, whether it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, that you will, fingers crossed, one day become a dad.
Yeah.
Right? And we need to start working towards that time frame. So you can have the time away with your family that you need when the time comes, and even a wedding, to not have to go, I can't afford to take time off because we need to get this done with SixSides. So I think it's a really, it's something to be conscious of, is making both of us not the single point of failure in time, right?
Yeah.
Because one of my mates had a child recently, and it just puts so much. It's surprising how much, even knowing that you're about to have a kid as a man, it changes your responsibility focus, because you're like, oh, hang on a sec, I just was fucking around. Now it's so.
Yeah, and like finding compressing 6 hours into 2 hours of like work time because that's all that you've got, and you just got to smash through stuff.
Yeah.
Like Rolly was saying something about that on the weekend, and
Yeah.
yeah, I totally. So we will have to work towards that to make it so that I am able to take some time off and
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever. The good thing with this business is that it's very like
Sexy.
it.
No,
Well,
no, wrong
and
word.
hopefully lucrative.
Oh, sorry, I'm not reading.
Yeah, you're in a whole different area. I don't know. I learned a lot about you on the weekend. But anyway, the it's very like hyper focused on certain times, right? So an event that's running is a 2-day thing. Um, Basically 95% of the users are going to use it across maybe a 4-day period or something like that, right? So as far as needing to have, everything running 100% and we can't possibly have any bugs and like all of the stuff that comes with software and running an application like this, a lot of it is super tightly like time boxed. So that's helpful. It's not like we expect to have all of the attendees for any given event using this thing for 7 months in advance. It's not going to happen. So there's less stress there because it's not as mission critical, which is great up until the time when it really is, right?
Yeah.
So that's handy. But yeah, also as far as building out new features and things like that, it's like, okay, well, there's time. Right now, we only have a few events in the system. We only have a few customers. It's early days. So that's really helpful as well, to be able to build towards certain timelines. We've talked ad nauseum on past episodes about how I work really well to deadlines. We've got one of those coming up. So 2 weeks from today when we do the recording, we need to have a version of the app up and running on test flight to be able to hand that over to some of our early customers, which is great. And then probably within, I'd say another 3 weeks or so after that, we need to have it actually up and in the app stores and things like that so that everybody's comfortable with the timeline. So yeah, we're kind of working towards that. What else is going on from a technical level? I am continuing to make a ton of progress towards that timeline. So we sat down and we walked through on Saturday morning when we were looking at all the like the users versus accounts and ticket codes, all this sort of stuff. We talked through the onboarding journey, and that was really interesting to see it from your perspective. And it did kind of align with what I had. We had some slight differences there of how we might want to do it, but basically the process of someone downloads the app, how do we then get them set up with an account as frictionlessly as possible, and then get them into their event within ideally 5 clicks or something like that, right? If they're using a like login with Gmail or whatever.
Yep.
So we talked through all of that and what the onboarding screens might look like. That was really cool. So I'm going to be working on that in the next day or so. What else? I'm then just continuing to bring over stuff from the previous code base, the Laracon Australia code base, which had all of, or 90% of the features that we want to have moving forward. So I'm bringing a lot of those across, just sitting down and like literally copying and pasting code and then reformatting it to work with the new infrastructure. So yeah, that's where everything's at on my side. It's just heads down and getting some really solid work done. And now the position is a lot more clarified. I can see like the end goal now after this conversation that we had on Saturday.
Yeah. Me too. So I think we got a path there. It's just building it out, right? We've got the structure, the framework for the house, and it's just building it out properly, right? So
yeah, that's right.
Now, mate, you met Matt Langbrook last week.
Langtree.
Matt Langtree.
That's it.
Sorry, shout out to Matt. So you were going to have to answer some questions, right?
That's right. Matt Langtree from Entry Place. We'll have a link in the show notes. We mentioned him a couple episodes ago, and he's a Laravel, Next.js, and iOS developer. So he's been building apps and websites and all sorts for years. And I hadn't heard about him until you mentioned him on the show, because he reached out to you looking for some sales consulting, right? And so it was really great to, like, I'm loving it. Seems to be happening a lot more lately. I'm hearing a lot more from people in kind of the extended network of Laravel developers. That's my circle, at least here in Australia, which is fantastic. So Matt was at Laracon last year, and he's like, I regretted not going up to you and saying hi. And it's kind of funny because that's something that we're trying to address with the app, right? Is giving people that like social gateway to going and meeting other people and not making it so awkward and getting all up in your head, right?
We're trying to remove that social friction, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that was really interesting to get that perspective from him. But anyway, it was just great to sit down and chat. It sounds like we have a ton of overlap in some of the different things that we've worked on in the past. Entry Place is a system for entering motocross events and trials. I think he was saying he can run other types of events on that platform, but he's kind of niching it down into this area. And I thought that was quite smart. It was just really great to talk with him because I've got a bunch of overlap with that before. I've built a bunch of different event entry systems before, doing like the ticketing and things like that. So it's totally, that's something that's on our roadmap to look at, next year or the year after, somewhere there. But yeah, it was really good. It was awesome. We got along really well. He did have a question for me. He said he was asking about my choice of using Expo, which is a mobile development framework on top of React Native. So
I can give my answer on what I would think.
Sure.
Yes, do it. No, I don't know I don't even know what you're talking about.
No. So the choice to use Expo over, say, Flutter, which I think is something that Matt is using. Sorry if I've got that wrong, Matt, but Flutter or any other number of different, like there's heaps of options out there. And I kind of touched on this with a few people after my talk at Laracon last year, which was about building mobile apps as a web developer. So someone that's not, I don't know how to write specifically an iOS app or a Android app in the native languages that you write those in. I don't know how to do that. And to be honest, I got no interest in it. I recommended last year, and it's the reason why we're using Expo now. Expo is just really awesome to use as a web developer because it's all written in JavaScript or TypeScript, which I would recommend using. I've kind of come around to that since my talk last year, so I'm now all in on TypeScript as far as our app goes. And it just kind of works. It does all the stuff that you would expect. If you have any experience with React, the JavaScript framework, which is predominantly for websites, it works really similarly. React Native works very similarly for mobile development. So if you're kind of on the fence or you've got an idea for a mobile app, I can strongly recommend using Expo. And it's what I'll be using well into the future. I know that there are final thing. I know that there are some other new tools that are out there, specifically native PHP. That's a way to write your mobile apps using PHP, which I think is, firstly, it's amazing that they've got that technology off the ground. We're still going to use Expo because I just think the broader ecosystem is there. There's a bunch of other companies that are using Expo. Native PHP may get there, and I wish them all the best with it. But we're making the choice to use Expo and continue to use it because it's already an incredible market leader. So there's a lot of support there, a lot of packages, a lot of tools, you've got EAS to do all your building. This is all stuff I talked about in my talk last year. So maybe I'll put a link to that in the show notes as well if you want to check that out.
Okay. So can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
So for the last 5 minutes, I had no idea what you said, right? So how can you explain that to me for someone with a non-technical background? Like, what are the options that people have to do? Explain to me what you just what you spoke about, and then
Sure.
two is what are the pros and cons for certain choices that people make, and what's the ultimate benefit of why you went down, well, why you recommend Expo over PHP. I kind of got a sense of that, but I don't understand, right? So, and I'm sure other people who
Sure.
listen to this may not understand either. Yeah.
Sure. So when you want to build a mobile app, you've got to make a choice of what technology you want to use because there's lots. There's probably like 20 different ways you could build a mobile app at least, right?
Okay.
And what I would recommend, unless you are a giant company with a huge budget and a lot of engineers, I would recommend being able to leverage a single developer to work on multiple operating systems, so iOS and Android, right?
Okay.
Because the programming languages are different for each of those operating systems.
Okay.
So you can either have one developer who can write a mobile app in a language that can then be pushed onto both iOS and Android, or you can have maybe you've got one fantastic developer who knows both Swift and Java, right, or Kotlin or whatever it is. You see, I don't even know. I don't have to know. You might have someone who's really clever and knows both languages and can work in both systems, and that's fantastic if you do. What I have seen though is a lot of places will have an iOS developer and an Android developer. So they've got double the salary, right? You can immediately get started if you use a framework like Expo, this type of technology, which allows you to write one code base and it goes out to both systems and works incredibly well, right? So that's already a choice that you're making up front and those types of different categories.
So what's the cost benefit analysis there is if you can afford to run a native iOS developer and a native Google developer, what's the benefit of that opposed to using an Expo?
so you will get slightly better performance, potentially significantly more performance. It kind of depends on how you actually build your app, but largely the app that you produce will be as fast as possible if it is written in native languages for each operating system,
Sure.
right? So that's one of the benefits. You can also have, it's kind of tricky because like you can bridge a lot of gaps. So yes, if you were to build a native application for iOS written in Swift, it's going to run as fast as humanly possible. It will probably integrate as best as possible with the operating system, and you'll tap on this button and it'll open up the share sheet so you can share it to Messenger or whatever. Like, but you can do a lot of that stuff in Expo or in other like shared language models as well. So the bridge that used to exist 10 years ago, where it was like if you were writing you wanted to write a mobile application using web technologies like you would put on a website, you would use something like PhoneGap to do it, or which became Cordova. And that was basically embed a website inside of an app.
Yeah.
And that was it. So it was running a browser in like, it was like your own version of Chrome, you know, or Safari or something like that. And it was just running a website that all the code for was bundled into this app. So it wasn't actually connecting to the web, but that was it. And so the performance of those was really bad. If you're trying to put any animations in it or like little interactions that need to run quickly,
Yep.
they were awful, right?
Sure.
The tools have come a long way since then. So, and that was a big realization, and that was a big part of my talk last year was, wow, okay, look at how far the technology has come along to the point where a web developer like myself can instantly be a mobile developer as well.
Sure. So you're saying it's more, well, one, it's more economical in the early stages to do it, but it sounds like if you get to a certain point of scale or a certain size and you can afford it, then you would probably break them out into certain streams potentially to save a bit of time, make it more optimized.
You could, you don't have to.
Okay.
So there are plenty of big apps that are like huge apps that are running Expo.
Like what?
One that immediately comes to mind for me is Blue Sky, which is like the newish social media platform, very similar to Twitter.
Sure.
And a lot of people that are a bit frustrated with where Twitter's at have moved to Blue Sky.
Okay.
And it's an Expo app. So they're doing all the same stuff that we are. Obviously, they're a lot bigger.
Sure.
But yeah, that's an Expo app. They run, as far as I know, they run on EAS, and they do the updates like what I did in my Laracon talk. So they can push out new updates really quickly, and now they fix a bug or whatever, and now that appears on everyone's phones really quickly.
Okay.
So yeah, Expo has a apps using Expo page or something like that you could just Google for if you wanted to check it out. But yeah, there are lots of these different choices that like other technologies that you could use that do the same type of thing, where you write one code base and push it out to different app stores. But the people that were coming up to me after my talk last year and asking like, so why did you settle on Expo, and why didn't you go with this one or that one, or like looking at some of these other options? And I just don't have the time to go through and try and build an app 15 times, right? So we've got to optimize. I'm running multiple businesses, and we're building stuff for our clients as well as for us, and SixSides and so on. And it's like, this works. This works incredibly well.
Yeah.
I know you'll have a good time if you use Expo. I'm not interested in chasing the 1% performance improvement that I can get over here, but it turns out it's going to take me 3 times as long to build the app because it's not as well supported or whatever. Gotcha. So this stack works incredibly well. And if you're looking to build a mobile app, I'd encourage you to check it out.
Okay. So that's really interesting, like for a non-technical founder like myself, is understanding that, right? Like, because it's the first time I've ever heard that. So is knowing that platforms like Expo exist. Because I remember at my old business I worked in 2015, they had to run lots of developers, right, for native app.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Okay. Thanks for that. That's interesting. So
hopefully that helps answer your question, Matt.
Yeah. I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
So, mate, I've been looking forward to this next one.
Go on, drop it on us.
The SEO results for the
podcast titles. Yes.
Now week 4, I think will be week 4. This will be week 4, and there's definitely month on month. We don't have a lot of listens, so thank you to everyone that's listening. If you have any questions or any feedback, please email us at journey@sixsides.co. We're starting to get a couple of them through now. But it's what would you say in 1 or 2 sentences? Do you think the SEO title change has had an impact?
In 25 words or less. I got to do a ride in and win a competition. Yes, I think it is working.
Yeah.
All right, we'll end the clip there.
Yeah, that's done.
I think it is working. What I'm curious about is if we do go back to writing more shorter titles that aren't SEO optimized, does the trend still continue? Because is it maybe we are having a moment, quote unquote, which sounds so stupid to say, but you get me. Maybe this is starting to work. We are, like we did share, I think a big part of this is you, myself, and Michael all shared last week's episode on LinkedIn, right? So that has got a fair...
Yeah, but it's got an extra three downloads. I'm looking at it now.
But when you consider... like we're not getting huge numbers on our downloads, right? So, but what is true, undeniably, is the graph of listeners is going up month by month. Right? So, and we're still only recording 4 episodes a month, or 1 a week. So, something is working, and it might just be, okay, people like current episodes, so then they're going back in the backlog and listening to past ones, and that boosts the numbers up. Maybe that's it, right? So I'm not 100% convinced that it's just the titles that are making a difference, but something is making a difference. No, you get the win. Like, I think this is great. These titles have been good. I would like to further the experiment by, at the end of this 6-week run, let's go back to different titles and let's just see, is it an immediate drop? Because then if it is, okay, great, we've got our answer, right?
Well, what about if we don't go back, but what about if we go back to the earlier episodes and re-SEO those ones and see if it has an impact?
I don't love it. No, those are the titles. That's what we picked at the time. That was our state of mind.
Okay.
So, no, I think I agreed to this under 6 weeks. I think I should then I want another 6 weeks. And then after that, we will, whichever one works, that's what we go with.
Okay.
But anyway, yes, you get you get the point. These have gone better. So I'm happy with that. I mean, ultimately, we both win out of this, right? So I can't lose. That's what I'm trying to say. So
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, mate, this week, what are you working on?
I'm working on the mobile app. We've got 14 days until that's got to be ready in test flight. Mm-hmm. So I'll be working very hard over that time to get it there.
Yep.
That's the main thing that I'm focusing on for my work on SixSides. I've got some other stuff, client stuff and wedding stuff, and it's all going on. But I'll definitely make this happen. We'll get it over the line 100%. So that's all that I'm working on. I don't have anything else.
Yep. Awesome.
What about you?
I've got a couple of calls this week with some like some potential clients maybe. I'm building Deal Buddy in my other business at the moment, so I'm going to SixSides will be my first client on that, so I'll get them configured in there as a test case. So you'll come into that as well. I'm developing. We had a plan for our sales strategy, how to iterate it.
Yep.
And I'm putting that into action this week. I've got a plan for a couple of things actually, and I'm really excited. The way I see it, like, why would they say no? Like, it seems like a no-brainer, but that we're also just because we see it doesn't mean other people will see it. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
something to test.
Yeah, I'm working on that, and if that works, I think we'll have a solid plan to go forward. So
yeah. And that's kind of thinking longer term, right? Okay.
Yeah, it's a medium term plan. Yeah.
It's
a medium to longer term plan, 12-month plan, but it should be very solid.
Yeah. It sounded good when you put that forward to me, and then we kind of ideated on that a little when you were here. So yeah, I'm really excited. We do have this call later today, which I'll be on. So that's interesting. And yeah, maybe we should.
You don't need to be on that call.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe we should change the link in our email signatures. I wonder if that's where it's come from, or maybe it was on the website. I don't know. But any of the spots where we have like a book a meeting, that should just go to you.
Yeah.
And then you can always add me in. Like I'm happy to be on calls, but yeah, I probably don't.
You just don't need to be on that first one.
Yeah. Especially while I'm working on the mobile app, right?
Yeah. Yep. Through Expo, right?
With Expo, yeah. That's
with Expo.
Yeah. But it is going well. Like it is exciting what I'm, just as we round out the episode here, it is really exciting. I'm having a ball working on the mobile app. Some parts of it can be a bit frustrating, but that's the case with any development work. But I'm very excited actually to start on the onboarding piece that you and I sat down and went through on Saturday, and to be able to hopefully come back to you with that like tomorrow and say, mate, I've got this done. This is what I'm thinking. How does this sit with you? Bounce some ideas back and forth.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for it. Like it's fun. This is the enjoyable part of building a software business for me is this bit here. So yeah.
Got a question for you. What's been the highlight so far over the last 6 months for you? What's been your number one highlight?
Within this business, that's a good question. I think certainly up there, maybe I can give you like top 3.
Okay.
Getting our first customer signed. Well, they basically happen within a few days of each other. So that week where we got both of our first 2 customers signed up, that was huge, because that was like, well, okay, we're off to the races here, right? This is real. Seeing you in person for sure would be in the top 3, because you and I have spoken for 4 years now, but getting to see each other in person, that's a big win. And then probably doing this podcast. I'm still having a ton of fun with it. I expect to continue to have a ton of fun, and I really like that it forces us to sit down and focus on this, and there's no taking other phone calls or emails, similar to when you were here on the weekend. Like, this is focus time, get in, and we're just having fun with it as well. It's really fun. So those would be my 3. What about you?
Well, just on that, the podcast, I think we should commit to this for the next 3 years, to be honest, like every week for the next, like Brett,
Why
I
don't
don't
we
think,
focus on 12 months?
well, no, I just think we should keep doing it, right? Let's, keep doing it.
I think as long as there's stuff to say, I think the vast majority of things in life probably have like a best before date or something like that, right? Where it's like, okay, keep doing this for as long as it makes sense, as long as it's fun, as long as we're enjoying it and listeners are enjoying it. But I do think that is likely years. I've got no plans to stop doing the recording, 6 months from now.
Yeah.
I think that's when we'll just be kind of hitting our stride, right? So thank you for the people that are along for the journey. But I don't want to commit now and say, we'll still be doing this in 3 years, because who knows what will happen in 3 years, right?
Well, there you go. I was trying to form a long-term partnership, and you're like, hey, let's just take it easy, buddy. I get it.
No.
No, I get it. I can read between the lines.
I got commitment issues, I guess.
Okay.
My
My top 3 bad moments was just now. So the top 3, the top moment for me, I think, would be hands down was volunteering WA, right? Because they were, I got teary. I think that was the first one, right? Like, I always knew Laracon would probably be a client just because of the relationship that you had, but that one was coming in was a really good one. Second one is you sending through some screenshots while I was at dinner when you started using cursor and you changed the structure really quick, and I was like, I was having dinner with someone, actually. I remember I was exactly, and I was like, oh, how good's this? Like, his strengths are, look at this. And my mate was like, that's amazing, where I just don't have those skills. So I think, and then meeting each other on Friday was awesome as well. So,
yeah. It's cool. Well, here's to more of that stuff happening. Hopefully we've got some more big highlights that'll come
only
up
for
over
the next 6 months, apparently, but no, we don't want to commit for more.
We'll just keep reviewing it. A 6 monthly cycle. See, are we still enjoying it? Do we like working together? We'll shut the whole thing down. Who knows?
Shut the whole thing down. Now we do it just a lonely podcast. I'm so lonely.
That's right.
All right, mate.
Cool. All right, mate. If you have any reviews, any questions, anything you want to leave us, we'll have links to everything in the show notes. We'd love a review. We'd love an email. Check us out on YouTube. Find Gavin on LinkedIn and me everywhere else. And we'll catch you all next week.
So, if anyone does want to leave a review, it'd be really appreciated. I'm just looking, we haven't had any reviews for a while. So, anywhere that you could leave one, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, that'd be really appreciated. And, mate, until next week, keep coding.
Sayonara. Keep coding. You got to...
That's your catchphrase.
I'll keep coding. I don't know about you. You do something else, but
but that's what I'm saying to you. You keep coding. Yeah, it's your catchphrase.
You've completely butchered the outro.
I haven't. It's awesome.
Maybe. We'll let the people decide. Put that. All right, we'll catch you all next week and keep coding.